Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
Here in number 10, it was a day like any other day. There had been restless footsteps throughout the night, with the current squatter in my home, wearing the carpet thin, while having whispered conversations on his phone. Let's take a look at what might have caused this disruption. Gather round, you exhausted little democracy addicts, because today's political circus comes to us Kurt Essie of Long Knives News, reporting on the bloody Makerfield by-election, because apparently Britain looked at the state of the country and thought, you know what we need. Another by-election and 12 more, men called Graham shouting on YouTube. This all comes after West Streeting. The man who genuinely looks like someone built a Labour politician out of leftover Lego parts, stepped down from the cabinet, immediately triggering the usual Westminster feeding frenzy. Every Blairite ghoul in a fitted navy suit suddenly started whispering, could this be my moment? Acting like contestants on a version of Love Island for management consultants. So naturally, speculation turns to Andy Burnham, the so-called King of the North, which sounds less like a politician and more like a regional Elvis impersonator. Apparently, this could be his third shot at the leadership. Third time lucky? Because if there's one thing Britain loves, it's reheated centrists presented as bold new ideas. And this all follows the Gorton and Denton by-election earlier this year, where the Greens won rather convincingly, largely because voters finally looked at Labour and went, do you know what? Maybe the people setting fire to the house shouldn't also be in charge of the hosepipe. Now then, enter the newest political masterpiece, the bandwagon party. Yes, actual grown adults have apparently decided the future of British politics should be entrusted to a loose coalition of directionless YouTubers who treat ideology the same way influencers treat protein powder sponsorships. Leading the charge is Graham Hughes, or as critics apparently call him, Cockhead Dumb D, which sounds less like a political commentator and more like a rejected Viz comic character. This man changes political allegiance more often than Liz Truss changes economic policy. Labour one week, Greens the next. Then whoever's trending by Friday afternoon. He's like a human weather vane if the weather vane also had a Patreon. And honestly, the online political scene in Britain now is absolutely feral. You've got middle-aged men live streaming from spare bedrooms, calling themselves independent journalists because they bought a USB microphone and discovered the word establishment. Apparently, Hughes once denied campaigning for Labour despite being visibly on a Labour-affiliated channel doing exactly that. And this is magnificent because the channel later changed its name to Politics. He reckons that somehow erases reality itself. That's not political analysis. That's the sort of logic toddlers use when they hide behind the curtains with their feet still sticking out. No, Mummy, I'm not here anymore because I changed my name. Brilliant. And then, after loudly declaring his green credentials and acting as though Zach Polanski was the second coming of Che Guevara in vegan trainers, suddenly Andy Burnham becomes the saviour again because apparently everyone must unite the left. The left! Mate, Labour stopped being properly left. Wing around the same time, Blockbuster Video was still a functioning business model. All this bollocks about not wanting to split the left, wing vote if Labour are a left-wing party, then I've got shares in London Bridge to sell you, and your almighty Zach and the Green Party should fight like hell for this seat, or they are no more than hot air, and last week spat out chewing gum left out on the pavement. These people talk about Burnham like he's going to sweep into Westminster, carrying proportional representation in one hand and EU membership forms in the other. He's not. He's another managerial centrist in a nice coat, saying, wouldn't be lovely if things improved slightly, let's take a quick look at Mr. Burnham, someone who couldn't even carry on the facade of being something totally different until he got into office. Watch him shoot both his feet off in one go here by offering a watered-down version of the neoliberal politics that already has the voters holding their noses and voting deformed UK to try and at least get something resembling change.
The ideas that you're talking about, already, you look at the financial markets on Friday, are pretty spooked by it. What are you going to do when the markets turn around and say, whoa, 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 we don't like any of this, and we have a situation we had with Liz Truss where the economy starts to falter?
Number one, I have never said you can just ignore the bond markets. Number two...
Well, didn't you say we shouldn't be in hock to the bond markets?
I said that politicians have placed Britain in hock because of the way in which we lost control of our finances and public spending when we, if you like, handed away control of energy, water, housing. That has left Britain in a weak position when it comes to public spending. You can't, how can you control public spending if you're chasing rents in the private rented sector through the benefits system? How can that be done? So, you know, I've quite clear, let me say this really clearly, I support the fiscal rules. There needs to be a plan to get debt down. But beyond that, we need to change politics and take the turbulence out of British politics, because that is a cause of uncertainty that then has that impact in the markets.
How the holy fuck is following Rachel from accounting's fiscal rules actually offering change. Now the new leader of the bandwagon party, cockhead Dumb D, says that he has marched for Europe, but he still thinks that Burnham is right. Let's look at this week's New Flavour Burnham's views on rejoining the EU as I give myself a root canal without an anaesthetic.
Are you in favour of rejoining the European Union?
I've said in the long term there is a case for that, but I'm not advocating that in this by-election. In fact, what I am saying is focus now domestically. Britain has got to focus very much on the here and now and the issues that are affecting people. And actually, there is a degree of public control that we've got that we need to start using properly. Okay. So one of the big ideas that I will be putting forward in this campaign is the reindustrialisation of Britain, building future-facing industries and bringing them to areas like Makerfield. These are the things we need to focus on rather than getting trapped in a debate about the EU. We've got to focus domestically, sort out Britain, and that has got to be the first priority.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated, cockhead? You wasted your time marching for Europe if Mr. Blairite Burnham does get in, because to him joining the EU is very low on his list of priorities, right alongside cleaning out the fridge. Now, either you are an absolute mug, or you are treating your viewers and subscribers as mugs. Which is it? That's modern English politics, no vision, no ideology, just exhausted men asking if we could perhaps decline a bit more efficiently, suffer a bit more quietly. And the online cheerleaders lap it up because outrage gets clicks, tribalism gets subscribers, and consistency is apparently now considered a character flaw. Honestly, half these political YouTubers don't support movements. They support engagement metrics, who will be the next born again, washed in the blood of the almighty Zach Polanski, convert to jump on the Burnham bandwagon, to sell their soul and sell out their viewers by conning them into believing that Burnham offers them the change they are longing for. Now, if Nigel Farage announced universal basic income tomorrow, who said UBI, half of them would emerge wearing purple blazers, screaming. To be fair, he's asking important questions, even if the answers are the easy ones. Just another restless night in number 10 as the current squatter in my home. Sir Curry and a beer braces himself for the night of the long knives, and I get ready to book another removal van. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this video, then not only are you lovely people, but you also have great taste, and you should also subscribe to the Two Davies for news and politics from a very Scottish perspective, and that rantastic Mr. McGuinness. Cue growling cat.